Chairman. Mr. Gordon, I know that you were listening intently to the Comptroller General's testimony this morning. Did you agree with his statement that more competition for federal contracts helps to lower costs and improve quality?
As is often the case, I fully agree with the Comptroller General. On the particular point of competition, I agree and then some. Competition does more than lower costs and improve quality. It can bring us innovation. It can increase opportunities for small businesses. It protects the system in terms of integrity. We are pushing hard for competition, and the fact is we're getting results. As you know, we've given the agencies a goal of 10% reduction in the dollars going into high-risk contracts. We include both sole source contracts and a different kind that GAO has been very helpful in highlighting, and that's one bid contracts where you had a competition but got one bid. The results are pretty good, but we still need to push harder.
Mr. Gordon, in light of that statement, I find it very hard to understand why the administration has considered two executive orders that would have exactly the opposite impact. They would drive up the cost of federal contracting by shrinking the pool of bidders, and they would put small businesses at a particular disadvantage under the first executive order that I'm going to discuss with you. That is the so-called high road draft executive order. Under this executive order, the administration was considering giving extra points depending on the wages and the benefits that a company paid its employees. Now, there are small businesses that are very eager to do business with the federal government that could provide a very good cost, excellent quality, the best value to the taxpayers, but that would lose points under the system the administration was proposing because they were unable at that point in their development to reach the wage standards that the administration would deem appropriate. A second executive order that the administration has under consideration would actually require anyone who is bidding, any entity that is bidding for any federal contract, to disclose political contributions from the previous 2 years. That, too, would discourage many businesses from applying to do work for the federal government. For example, if a business, and this applies to the executives, to the directors, to the affiliates of this business, supported conservative causes or Republican candidates, that business might well conclude that it's pointless to submit a bid for the contract. After all, why would this information be required if it were not going to be a factor in the source selection? Similarly, if there's a change in administration and it's a Republican administration, a Democratic a firm that's been very active in supporting Democratic candidates and liberal causes might well conclude that since this information is being required, that it is pointless to bid. Both of these executive orders would have the result of shrinking the pool of bidders. So given what you've just said about the benefits of competition and having as healthy and robust a competition as possible, which I totally agree with, why would the administration be considering these two executive orders?
Senator Collins, I am not going to be speaking about draft executive orders. I don't think it's appropriate for me to, neither I nor anyone in the administration believes it's appropriate for us to be discussing drafts. But I will tell you the bottom line. The bottom line is that we are committed to increasing competition. We're committed to increasing opportunities for small businesses in federal contracting. We are committed to strengthening the professional character of our wonderful acquisition workforce. We are committed to protecting the integrity of our contracting system so that we never have the reality or the appearance of anything other than the appropriate evaluation factors being taken into account in source selection. We will protect our contracting system from any appearance of political influence.
Well, Mr. Gordon, I'm asking you to discuss the policies underlying these executive orders. And you are the head of the Office of Federal Procurement Policy. You are intimately involved in setting procurement policy. Let me ask you a broader question. Are you aware of information that a contractor is required currently to submit with its proposal that is not intended to be used by the agency to make its decision on which contractor provides the best value?
There is information that we require from vendors competing for contracts, even though we would not take it into account. That's information about lobbying activities. It's information about the executive compensation for their executives. Those factors are not taken into account, as you know, Senator Collins, because you have a depth of knowledge in this area that is very beneficial, I can tell you, to us in the procurement system. The only factors that are taken into account are the factors that are set out in what we call Section M, the evaluation criteria. There could be other information that's submitted, such as the ones I gave you. That information, even though it's submitted, even though there's disclosure, whether it's in the bid or elsewhere, that information cannot affect the award decision. And if it did, if there were information that outside the evaluation criteria, as you know, a disappointed bidder that lost and felt that the wrong information was considered or improper information considered can file a bid protest either at GAO or at the Court of Federal Claims.
Well, let me make a very clear distinction here. The certification on lobbying that the FAR requires, the Federal Acquisition Regulation, is to certify that no appropriated funds are associated with trying to influence the outcome of the specific contract. That certification is to ensure that unlawful behavior does not occur. It is not unlawful to 2 years before bidding on a contract to have contributed to a candidate or cause of your choice. And the point that I'm trying to make is even if you could somehow require the reporting of political contributions and yet say that they shouldn't be considered in the source selection, which to me raises the question of why you're requiring them to be reported, that you're missing the earlier point, which is that businesses are going to decide that the system's stacked against them and not bother to submit a bid. Because otherwise, why would this information be required? So I hope, and my time's expired, but I may well come back to this, I hope that you will take a hard look at both of these executive orders and the policies behind them, because if in fact this administration is committed to expanding competition, as you eloquently said, it should not be issuing executive orders that is going to do exactly the opposite.